Hello and welcome to another episode of the Phoenix Podcast, where you and I rise together into our next phase of life, one that is rich and full with our highest dreams, biggest goals, and desires, all part of our path to realizing our best life ever. My name is Jennifer Coffey. I like to think of myself as one of your biggest cheerleaders, here to share some of my own experiences, but also to open the door, hopefully, for you to walk through into new ways of thinking when it comes to making your dreams come true. I'm very, very excited this week. Candidly, I'm excited every week to sit and to speak into this microphone about things that I love and to talk about your dreams and your goals and desires. But some topics I favor more than others. And this topic is one of my favorites, and it's all about manifesting love. That certainly goes for romantic love, and that will be a bit of the focus that I share with you in this episode. But it does actually work, if you will, for love in more friendships, love in your family, love for life. Anything that involves you having a deeper connection with someone or something outside of yourself. And we'll explore later how manifestation can help you with self-love, and also get more specific about love of family, love of friends. But I am going to focus a little bit more on romantic love. And that is, as many of you know, a favorite topic of mine because it was quite recently, in the grand scheme of things, that I and my husband were able to manifest each other into our lives. And it was, again, candidly, one of my toughest manifestations. And I realize, of course, now that I was the one getting in my own way. We almost always are. And I will share with you a little bit of, behind the scenes of how it unfolded for Davender, my husband, and myself. But more to your benefit, I think, share with you how specifically the functions of manifestation can work specific to manifesting love. So, as I do every week, we're going to start with a quote. And this is one that I, read somewhere, and I'm going to read it again, I am sure, and go, that's where I saw it. And when I've tried to search it, I don't really get a solid answer on to whom I can attribute it. So I dislike strongly when I'm not able to give credit where credit is due for a quote. But here we go. And if you know who said it, please hit me up on Instagram, Jennifer Coffey. And the quote goes like this: "You are not here to change the world. You are here to love the world." Let's hear it again. You are not here to change the world. You are here to love the world. When I read that, dear listener, it was like a 10,000 pound weight was lifted off my shoulders. I have to believe, everyone listening, if you have an open enough mind to believe that you can affect great change in the world, and I certainly do, don't you sometimes feel as though you should be? Don't you feel sometimes as though you're not doing enough? And the world is hard right now, right? And we read about it, we think about it, and we feel like there's more that we should be doing. And in that quote, I feel like it carries so much because it relieves you of the burden of taking on all of this yourself. But it's also giving you the way that you can change the world, which is to love the world. By loving the world more, we change the world. So even if you've unburdened yourself of the belief that you have to change the world, you're still doing it by loving more. And when I read that, I went, that's the key. Like, that's the key that's going to unlock everything that we want in life, by loving more. And remember, to be very clear, this isn't about letting anyone walk all over you. Instead, it's identifying what, who, where you love and soaking it up and maximizing it as much as you can. It applies in all discussions of love, but we're going to apply it to romantic love here. So in order to kind of dive into, homework, things to do, ways to manifest more love, I could talk about this all day, but nobody would want to hear that. I will at least briefly share with you the unfolding of meeting the love of my life. If you've watched what became a very long video on Facebook that my husband and I did, we shared the how we met story and how it felt and feels to this day very much organized by higher power, because it was just so perfect. And we joke, it was also far overdue because at the time I was 48. I don't know if he wants me sharing, but anyway, he's 7 years older than me. Okay. So, we would have loved to have, I'm sure, have met in our teens or 20s, but what did we talk about last week? That's not up to us to decide. What's up for us to decide is what we want and to make ourselves ready for it. And that was the key for us. I have been single for the lion's share of my life, not for lack of trying, that's for sure. And I have had some very lovely relationships and deep connections, but not it, right? And that got frustrating often. Anyone who's in the dating world right now, I send you my love. It is a jungle out there. I had described it often to folks who inquired about online dating. I would describe it as searching for hay in a needle stack. And you know what, that's the case even if you're just going to parties to try to meet your man or your woman, right? And it's hard, and you kiss a lot of frogs and you go on a lot of bad dates, right? And I realized afterward that I was doing a lot of things wrong. I was trying to control my path too much. I was letting myself get frustrated when I had a bad date. I hadn't worked on myself enough. We're going to talk about all of this. But when I had really started to focus on some steps that I'm going to share with you, it almost happened overnight. And anyway, we met on Bumble. So yes, and no, Bumble didn't pay me for that, although frankly they should. We met on Bumble. I had been on and off of online dating services for what felt like as long as they existed, but I counted and it was about 11 years. And not straight, but on and off. He had been on Bumble for 11 hours. Yeah. So I still feel like he owes me something there, but we'll figure that out. And he only joined Bumble because a colleague of his was a bit of a higher up at Bumble and had encouraged him to join the platform just so he could, see how great this platform that he had been a part of was. So he was like, let me see what this is all about. And he was on it. I was surfing. Candidly, I was at work at the time. And in fact, I was technically on the air at the time, but I was co-hosting with another QVC host who was presenting, and I was on my phone texting with my daughter, but I got a Bumble notification. So I went on Bumble and I saw the cutest guy. I mean, good pictures, seemed professional, but adventures, like travel pictures. He's tall. He's from the UK. Ooh, he must have an accent, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm a little intrigued. So I swiped that, yes, I like you, swiped right. And we started texting. And then I'd have to put the phone down, go present an item, and then come back, and I'm texting him again. And we're just kind of getting to know each other a little bit. And then he asked if he could call me. And I said, well, I'm kind of on TV right now, but yes, we can. He called me after I got off work. I listened to that English accent. Ooh, right. But there was something about this guy. And, I'm a pretty cautious gal, as I beg all of you to be. And not the kind of person who would just like, sure, we've talked for 5 minutes, let's go ahead and meet. But I tell you, there was something that told me, I gotta meet this guy. We tried to connect, figure out a date that we could actually meet for coffee or a drink. And we were coming up against Thanksgiving and then Christmas, and it was looking really impossible because he was planning on going on a ski trip. And I said, you know what? What are you doing tonight? When I tell friends that I said that, they went, you? You suggested meeting a guy the same night? Because you don't do that, right? But something told me. And we met at a local restaurant. I'm thinking it was like 8 o'clock maybe, and we closed that place down. It was as close to love at first sight as I've ever been. And it was easy. Getting to know this guy was not uncomfortable or awkward or made, me feel self-conscious, or it was just easy. It felt so right. And it all went downhill, uphill, depends on how you look at it, from there. The easiest falling in love that had ever happened in my life. And in every meeting felt like I was just reconnecting with my best friend. So without being too mushy-gushy and spending the whole time talking about how amazing my husband is, I think it's also worth talking about how I had managed a woman who manifests some pretty big things: dream job, successful career, healthy relationships with my daughter, the friends that I had acquired in my time here in Pennsylvania, which is coming to a close, as you know, at least in a permanent state. How was it that I manifested so many awesome things and I was hung up on this one? And again, because as I discussed in our last podcast, faith means trusting in advance what only makes sense in reverse. I realized that at any given time in my life, I was doing a couple of things right and several things wrong. And it wasn't until I had reached that perfect storm of checking all of what I believe are the most important boxes in manifesting love. It wasn't until I had checked all those off that I had unlocked one of those puzzles that just opens up, and there he was. And come to find out later, the same was going on in his life. And when you have two people who are unlocking via manifestation and doing the self-work, two people that are doing it at the same time, they can't help but fall into each other's arms. So if I'm talking to anyone right now who is absolutely fatigued with dating, or you've been single for a long time, and off and on you've loved it, because certainly off and on I loved it, and I still love my own company, to be very clear. I love solitude, but I realize now you can love solitude and you can love a partner at the same time. Some people have had that luxury for decades, and that's wonderful. But if you haven't combined the two yet, and you want to now, this is important, right? Because there's nothing wrong with loving being alone and having friends and having pets. I'd say all of this never to disparage anyone who chooses to not have that partner in their house all the time. But if I'm speaking to somebody who's ready and it feels like they're banging their head against the wall, I offer up some suggestions in the context of the law of attraction and manifesting what you want. Here are some suggestions, call them manifestation hacks, that I do believe cleared the path, removed obstacles between myself and the man of my dreams. So take these, leave these, but if you do all 6, I'm just saying, be ready. Okay, first up, this is a fun one. Make your list. All right, so we already know that step 1 in manifestation is to be clear on what you want. So if we say, for example, well, I want to fall in love. Well, I intend to find my perfect partner. That's a start. But it really makes for a lot of work if we don't know who your perfect partner is. And I don't mean specifically by name. Instead, what are attributes that you don't just hope for, but you're manifesting? I'm looking down now because I'm opening up my phone so I can read you mine. This now dates back, this is a 4-year-old list. I made this list because I thought, you know what? I'm building my dream man. Now, I didn't include very much that was physical. We're going to talk about that. But because, I didn't have necessarily this one physical appearance that was ideal for me. Obviously I've got to be very attracted to the man, but you can have all of that almost any time, frankly. Instead, I'm thinking, what are the attributes that this man has that frankly are non-negotiable, that if he has all of the above, is going to knock my socks off? Have fun making this list. And my suggestion is to avoid negatives. In other words, you're not saying he's not pessimistic. Say he's optimistic. If you have had a rough go of it in the past, maybe with partners who were disloyal, unfaithful, you're not going to put on that list, he doesn't cheat. Instead, you would say loyal, dedicated, only has eyes for me. Make it a list of positives. We all have hurt, and we all have experiences that have thrown a few more bricks in our walls that we're building. We want to talk about the attributes that are going to take that wall down if we have one. And I share this list with no expectation that you share any of these attributes, but maybe it'll jog your mind a little bit and make you go, oh yeah, I want that too. Or not that, but it makes me think that I want this. And I kept this in my phone all the time so that I could look at it every once in a while and remind myself when I was getting frustrated by the search and go, no, don't get frustrated because he's here. We're just manifesting him, all right? So at the top, it just says he is. So you might put she is, right? He is compassionate. He is emotionally available and expressive. So he's available to exchange emotions and also able to express those emotions. He takes care of himself physically. He is a good listener. He is optimistic. There it is. He is romantic and physically passionate. He is grateful. He is intellectually curious. It's my fancy way of saying he likes to read. He is self-aware and self-curious. He is adventurous and energetic. He has a great sense of humor. He is financially secure and self-motivated. Drug-free, charitable, and as a bonus, I put at the end, eventually, he kind of worships the ground I walk on. Because it is your list, you can add and subtract at any time. But these are the words, and remember, words have power, that when we read, they don't just remind us of what we're looking for. When we read them, we're getting excited that we're going to meet that person. Imagine that person who has all those attributes and feel the feelings of what it would be like to have that person in your life. And by the way, this works for friends. And by the way, this works in your existing relationship. Remember, your powers of manifestation, they don't necessarily change another person, but they can change your mindset. And that mindset can open your awareness to some of the wonderful attributes that you may have in your current partner, so that you start to see more of what you used to love in someone, or that you're craving in that someone that they already have and you just can't see. Okay, number 2. You know I love me a vision board. So we're going to make that vision board. Now, this is a little tricky because when we make a vision board, obviously it's nothing but images, can be words too. You might print out that list that we just made and put that on the vision boards. Another opportunity for you to read it. But I would caution you, unless you are very much a stickler about a certain physical type, and no shame. But for me, I know when I'm attracted to somebody. Okay, so I don't necessarily need images to remind me, like, this is what a sexy guy looks like. Instead, those images that I put on my vision board reminded me of the type of person that this was, right? Sharp dresser, sure. But there was an image of a couple on bikes because I would love to share outdoor and physical activities with my partner. An image of an attractive man laughing because he has a sense of humor. There was a guy who looked like he was, don't laugh, but like he was on his way to an important meeting, because he's a mover and a shaker, right? And all these images, it just made me go like, I want to get to know that guy. And it certainly can include images of couples who appear to be deeply in love. Again, with the caveat, with the guidance of, if you look at those images and they make you feel bad because you don't have it yet, skip them until you can put those images up and look and go, oh, I can't wait. All right, number 3. I toyed with the idea actually of making this last because I feel like it's really important, but everything from here on out, I mean, they're all important, so be it. Number 3 is to love hard. And I don't mean hard in the difficult sense. I mean, you're going to take the feelings of love that you have now for whomever, whatever, wherever you can find that love. And you're going to turn the volume up, my love. This may not seem directly correlated to the end result of manifesting a partner, but trust me, it is very directly correlated because the universe only knows love in different volumes, okay? If you think about a volume dial and it goes from 1 to 10 or 1 to 11 if we're in spinal tap mode, you're going to take anything that you feel you have an affection for, your cat, pasta, traveling to a new city. This is obviously my list, right? Anytime you feel love for something, a song, a beautiful work of art, the warm sun on your face on the other side of winter. And yes, that's happening now. So, it's so good. Anytime you feel that, that is love, okay? Feeling the sun on your face after a cold winter. You know that feeling, right? It's like it comes in through your face, but you feel like your whole body just absorbed all this sun. It's like you can physically feel what the conversion of sunlight to vitamin D feels like. And it's just so invigorating. That feeling is love. Take that feeling and just go, ooh, that's good. And ask yourself again, what does this feel like? Wait, let's feel that again. Let's feel that again. You hug your child or your puppy dog or the goodbye hug of a good friend that you just had lunch with. And instead of that, love you, it's this. Couple extra seconds. Make it weird. And soak in that love. Why? Well, honey, you're putting out to the universe that you are ready for all the love it can send your way. You're saying yes, more please to this. And when we say yes to something, once again, that's turning your magic on. And if love is love is love, and it is, that when you say yes to love, it gives you more to love, including the partner you're manifesting. Love hard as much as you can and continue to do so after they show up as well. All right, number 4, This is a no-brainer for those of you who know the drill, but it took me a while to really get in the habit of doing this, and is one of the reasons why I believe I was a little bit more delayed in finding the love of my life. Number 4 is to act as if. Now again, when I say act as if, a lot of people misread that as fake it till you make it, a phrase that candidly I don't have a problem with. But it doesn't mean doing anything that's, obviously kind of silly to the outside world. It's things that you do in private that are training your brain to be alert and aware. It's like when you're acting as if, I almost imagine that you're unlocking a connection between what you're physically doing and intuition. So you're feeding to your intuition. This is what you're looking for. And when you're doing things like I eventually did, which was sleep on one side of the bed, I would turn to my side before I went to bed at night, and I would look at it was an empty pillow. Sometimes I had the cat on it, but I would look at the empty pillow and I would say, "Good night, sweetie, I love you." Again, sometimes the cat was there, so great, the cat got a little extra love. But really, what I was saying was, "I love you," to the person who was going to be there. And feeling that feeling of love, almost imagining like the back of someone's head. Sounds so silly, right? I'm by myself, who cares? I turn to the side. "I love you, sweetie, good night." I feel that love and I go to sleep. Rhonda Byrne in The Secret said, clear out half your closet if you can. You got to make room for them. Start getting ready. Put out 2 plates for dinner. You have the extra food, so what? Like, to grown adults, sometimes this seems comically weird. But to those of us who have done it and seen it work, it's not weird at all. When you're walking around outside downtown, can you put your hand in your pocket and start to make it warm and clasp it so that it almost feels like another hand is inside your hand? No one knows. But what you're doing is you're using your brain and your body to tell your intuition what to be on the lookout for. And that leads me to number 5, which is to trust your gut. The more you're acting as if, the more you're informing your intuition, the louder it speaks back to you. And if intuition is your connection to higher power, as I believe it is, then when you talk to it and it talks back, and you've opened that line of communication, you can't help but hear it. And when you hear it loud and clear, like me talking to Davender on the phone and going, "Yeah, I need to meet this guy tonight," that was intuition telling me, something's there. Go get it. Listen to your gut. It's not wrong. And then finally, this one I would call a bonus. Not directly related, I guess, to law of attraction, but I don't know. To me, it's a pretty easy connection to make. It's to work on yourself. Now, that's such a generic statement. And again, I am not a psychotherapist. I am not giving you psychological advice. But if you know that there are things that you still are working to heal from, fears that you may have, walls that you have put up to protect yourself over time, and maybe they're keeping you from loving you, can we put some of the work in? For me, I chose the path of going through yoga teacher training. I got my yoga teacher training in the same space that I rented and built into the Phoenix. That's a whole other story. But I chose an institute that focused on yoga philosophy and yoga therapy. And I went through that training in order to learn more about myself. And in those 13 months, I went through some work, some realizing of fears that I had, and asking myself some really hard questions and getting really hard answers so that I could learn more about what was holding me back. is it Rumi that said, your job isn't to find love, but to remove all of the blocks that you have to finding it? I may have misattributed, but I always loved that because it's so true. Love is everywhere, but we do have to work on removing the blocks that we have to get to love or to accept it in. I say this as a bonus because you can manifest even if you still have a lot to work on, right? Doesn't mean that you're not ready for love. If you have things, we're all still healing all the time. But I don't think that it's a bad thing to do if it helps clear some of the blocks that we may have. And that could very well be having a therapist, something that I encourage everybody to do. It could mean, gathering books to work on some of the things that you feel you need to work on, or talking to a good friend and being vulnerable. As you work on yourself, you might realize that one of the things holding you back, even if you're checking all the boxes, is that you don't love yourself enough too. And if we are to love hard in order to get more love, that's got to include ourselves. I can't necessarily show you what that path means for you, but if you start to explore that, you'll know because you're listening to your gut. And once again, I went through all of those steps without talking about my sponsor. She's going to be so upset. I'm kidding. It's me. If you would like to explore a little bit more manifestation of love or career or wellness, a more physical lifestyle, more active lifestyle, or discovering what it is you want in the first place, I'd love to chat with you. I offer one-on-one manifestation coaching via my email address. All you got to do is shoot me an email and I'll send you information. It's jennifer@jennifercoffee.com. Again, that's jennifer@jennifercoffee.com. This way we can really nail down what it is that you want in your life, and I can share with you and work with you on building a blueprint to get you there. I'd love to work with you on this or anything else that you want to attain in your life, because I know all of it isn't just possible, it's meant to be yours. We have much more to discuss in the world of love. This is far from my only episode on it. In fact, I have already informed my husband that he will be joining me very soon for a future podcast where we can talk about co-creating while you have another person involved, right? And team creating now. And I look forward to that. But I hope you're thinking about making that list, making the vision board, acting as if, working on yourself, listening to your gut. And yeah, I've decided it is most important, loving hard. I love you, and I share my respect for you and my appreciation for listening these 34 minutes. And I look forward to sharing more time with you next week. Have a wonderful one. I'll see you soon.